Leinster had to go up through the gears to beat a game Cardiff at the Aviva. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Decent performance by Cardiff in this one, but Leinster just showing their depth and their class as well, just to be able to kind of shrug them off in the middle period of the game. But this one started with Leinster sustained period in the Cardiff 22. Cardiff's defence standing firm, and then Mulder gets over the ball to win a penalty for them. Then it's back and forth for a period. Both teams looking to establish some kind of dominance. Charlie Tector then comes on a burst. Leinster got a bit of momentum. They look to spin it wide, but there's a knock on. And, little errors like that really kind of stilting Leinster's attack. And also, looking a little bit kind of, disjointed in attack as well. People not quite, on the right timing and in the right, quite the right line, that kind of thing as well. Then we have the second scrum of the game, and referee Piardi not happy about the number of resets. The same happened to the first one as well, and it ends up with a free kick to Leinster. Leinster then go through the phases. Cardiff keep them on the edge of the 22. They finally do work some space wide on the left, but Deegan can't hold a pass. Cardiff then ping for not rolling away. Ross Byrne, he's set to leave Leinster now for Gloucester at the end of the season. And Gloucester, although Ross Byrne may not be in kind of Ireland contention anymore, I tell you, you've got a really good player in Ross Byrne. He kicks to the corner. Leinster then go to the maul from the line out. It's going forward. Some backs then lend a bit of weight in there, and over they go. McKee is the score, converted for 7 points to 0. Cardiff, though, hit back straight away. Sheedy puts Winnett through a gap on halfway. He draws the cover and then finds MacLeod, who scores in the corner. Conversions missed, 7 points to 5. Leinster then win a scrum penalty. Slimani getting the pats on the back. And that was kind of, from there, Leinster very dominant in the scrum. Byrne with another great kick to the corner. Cardiff disrupt the line out, turn it over and kick clear. Again, great defence from them. Cardiff then, they put Leinster under pressure and force a poor clearance from Jimmy O'Brien. Just, guys just committed to the cause really there. I think it was it Ross? Yeah, I think it was Ross Byrne first got the ball. Then he's afraid of getting charged down, so he had to shift it on to Jimmy O'Brien, and then he kind of skews it off the side of his foot and doesn't get much distance on it. Cardiff then move off the line out. Jennings and then Belcher carrying well. Deeney is offside, so it's a penalty. They tap the penalty, go through the phases on the line. Thornton stopped just short. Then Young drives over and does well to get the ball down too. And then the conversion for that one is made this time, and now Cardiff are in the lead at 12 points to 7. And basically the two chances they've had in the game, taking both of them, brilliant from them. Cardiff then offside from a kick. Byrne goes up the line. Cardiff then take the lifter out early, and Byrne kicks right into the corner here. Important few minutes now, for both of the teams just before the break. Cardiff managed to halt them all, and then they're able to hold Leinster as well as they go through the phases, but they do concede a penalty, and Leinster then kick to the opposite corner, go to the maul, they're edging forward. McKee then breaks off the back, but Miller does really well to get under him, held up, goal line dropout again. Defence really good from Cardiff, and you just feel if they can weather this, get in at half time, with a little bit of a lead, kind of just think about then, can we get another score early in the second half and maybe, make Leinster chase the game? Because that's when, you really get under the skin of this Leinster team, is if you make them chase the game, that's when, a lot of the great, ability and kind of character that they normally have maybe can desert them. But we kind of have a bit of back and forth again. Cardiff, they break from their own line. Lilo feeds MacLeod, and then Tommy O'Brien gets back, makes a try save or a tackle, because if he hadn't have done that, they were away on the left and probably a straight run in from halfway. Cardiff then looking to get another score in the final minute and just build on that lead. But Deegan gets over the ball, wins a penalty up the line from Leinster. Then they decide, deliberately go over the top of the line out. Tector breaks the line. He's in behind. He does get stopped. It's recycled. They go left. Boyle then goes over to score in the corner. Ross Byrne converts from the touchline. 14-12. Leinster leading at the break, when I looked for all the world that, Cardiff could have been, had a decent cushion going into that break instead. Then into the second half, actually before that, Leinster bring on Snyman at half time. He had a decent second half. And then Cardiff bring on De Beer at 10. And into the second half then, so it was Jimmy O'Brien goes through a gap round about halfway. He's got support either side. He decides to go to Cooney, but then he doesn't have the pace to finish. He's run down by Hamer Webb, but Alex Mann is offside. Penalty to Leinster. He goes to the bin. Leinster then tap that penalty, and nice little move. They get the ball to Connors, who goes close. Then out again to Deegan, and he's over to score, converted for 21 points to 12. Leinster then kick to the corner again, set up the maul. It splinters, and McKee goes close before then McGrath snipes over for the bonus point try, converted for 28 points to 12. Then Leinster strike off a line out, move it, Byrne to Osborne, offload to Tector. He rides a couple of tackles and shows, great pace and power to finish. Really, good from him. I feel like, his game has improved so much in the last kind of year or so. Convert for 35 points to 12. And it's just Leinster doing Leinster things, right? Gone from a tight game to pretty much game over within 10 minutes or so of the restart. Cardiff then, they get Miller free on the left. He's going for the line, but Tommy O'Brien just absolutely smashes him into touch. Another try saver from him. But Miller not going to be denied. He does get in for his second a few minutes later. Cardiff, they commit the defence on the right. Then they go left, win it. Lovely little weighted kick in behind. It bounces up, evades one of the Leinster defenders, and then Miller beats, I think it was Tommy O'Brien, to collect it and score. Conversion missed, 35 points to 17. Cardiff then get their bonus point try. Seb Davies, that is, or Davis, as they say over there. Seb Davis, having a great impact off the bench. He sets Hamer Webb away on the right. He then passes back inside for Bevan, who has, a nice easy run in, converted for 35 points to 14. Then, Leinster work the ball into 22. They move it wide to Rob Russell, returned from injury. He kind of flirts with the touchline and then finishes in the corner. We have a Timo review. He's dived as he's finishing. It's very close between when he gets the ball then and when, his toe, is out. But because on-field is try, there's no clear evidence to rule it over. So try stands, converted from out wide, 42 points to 24. Leinster then, they've got another line out in the 22 in the final minute. And as they're actually coming to set it up, one of the Cardiff players says to the referee, it's never a try. And Piardi then responds, maybe you're right, maybe you can become a TMO. That was a nice little interaction there. And then shortly after then, Leinster get the ball off the field to finish 42 points to 24. So let's have a quick look at the stats, and then we'll talk about each of the teams. So let me pull the stats up here, and hopefully they're right, because something I don't like about this, the stats and stuff, is they're not always up to date right after, or shortly after kickoff. Like the match ended, about 20 minutes ago or so. But yeah, hopefully these are as up to date as they can get. Try scored then 6 for Leinster, 4 for Cardiff. So Cardiff, that losing bonus point, is definitely something to be proud of. I think possession 62% to 38. Clean breaks 5 for Leinster, 9 for Cardiff. And the defenders beaten 23 for Leinster, 16 for Cardiff. So Cardiff doing well to turn their defenders beaten into clean breaks, especially when you think they're against Leinster, who probably have, certainly have the best scramble defence in the URC and possibly, the best scramble defence in European club rugby as well. So to be able to have that good conversion rate just shows, how well Cardiff were doing in this game. Then offloads, 9 for Leinster, 5 for Cardiff. It'd be interesting to see how many Snyman had. He wasn't as crazy as normal with it. He went to ground a few times without actually offloading. But the guy's always up there. Defence then, 62% territory to 38. And then number of tackles, 107 for Leinster, 183 for Cardiff. Missed tackles, 16 to 21. So Leinster, 86% success is actually high for them. Again, we always talk about them being kind of low 80s, maybe, dipping even into the high 70s, just because of the speed and the press of their defence and the fact that they allow shooters to come out, which again is gonna, inevitably leads to more missed tackles. But Cardiff, 84%, pretty decent for them. And, for the most part, in that first half especially, they made the tackles when they counted, but it was just, Leinster just had, that little bit of quality when they went up through the gears in that second half. And that's really where the difference was between the teams. Turnovers 1, then 6 for Leinster and 3 for Cardiff. Kicks retained, 3 for Leinster, 2 for Cardiff. It wasn't a hugely, reliant by either team on kind of a kicking battle or anything like that. Penalty conceded then, just 7 for Leinster. You're always looking for those single digits and as low as possible. 13 for Cardiff, and a few of those certainly were at the set piece as well, at the scrum. Then, individual players. So, you got, MacLeod got that double for Cardiff. I thought he had a decent game overall as well. Successful carries then. Charlie Tector with 9 for Leinster. As I said, that guy, developing really nicely there. And it's about, with players like him, you can see the qualities there, but it's whether you can actually get him, involved in the big games when you think, ahead of him, he has, Ringrose and Henshaw, going to be coming back from Ireland duty, then Osborne there as well. So there's plenty of players for him to try and get over, even to just get a sniff, at some of the big games as well. But he's definitely developing well. Then 5 carries for Ray Lilo. He's a decent signing for Cardiff and has done really well for them there in their midfield as well. I really like the way he plays, and he's such a hard player to stop as well. Clean breaks then, Tommy O'Brien with 1 for Leinster, and Harry Millard with 4 for Cardiff. As I said, he had a really good game. Then defenders beaten, Hugh Cooney with 5 for Leinster. That guy, he's small, he's squat, but he's just so elusive. For whatever reason, he gets hit in the tackle, but he's like kind of, rubber. He kind of bounces out of it and then he can go again. And we saw that a number of times today. Cam Winnett then doing really well, with 3, for Cardiff as well. He's someone I think that will in the summer come back into that Wales setup, cause the guy I think is, he's got too much quality not to be, involved at test level. I think, in the next, few years. Then meters made, Charlie Tector with 93 and Gabe Hamer Webb did really well in the wing for Cardiff as well. 78 meters for him. Offloads, 2 for Rob Russell and 2 for Cam Winnett. So that that Snyman wasn't up to his usual tricks. If like the most offloads that anybody did was 2 and he's not one of them. Then onto defence, number of tackles, 12 for Brian Deeney and 17 for Thomas Young. And you can see from the stats, like there were a lot of decent performers on the Cardiff side of things, but again, it's just that Leinster's ability to just say, okay, we're gonna the next 10-15 minutes we're going to go up to a level that they can't live with, and that's really what they did. Now let's talk about each of the teams. So Cardiff, they really made a game in that first half, did well to take their chances when they came, and defence was pretty good, but conceding that score right before the break just completely changed the dynamic. Like if they had a lead, going into the second half, completely changes how they're looking at things. They're probably thinking about, okay, let's try and get, a couple of scores in the second half and just keep that scoreboard ticking over and keep making Leinster chase the game. But it didn't really happen for them. But they rallied well in the second half, got themselves a bonus point, and for a split second, an unlikely comeback was on, but it was only for a split second. No one would have picked them to win this one, so I think they performed better than expected. But I feel like they need to deliver wins now to make sure that they're going to make those playoffs. There's no point having we're now into the final third of the season. There's no point having a good first 2/3 of the season and then not making the playoffs. Teams, we've seen teams like that do that before, the likes of Edinburgh, and a few others as well, where they look decent, but then when it comes to kind of this tranche of games, starting with this one here, we're going now into the final 6 games of the season, the regular season that is, for the URC, and wins here, are absolute gold dust, and you've got to deliver them, because if you don't, it's so competitive. A couple of tight losses or whatever can see you dropping from well within the playoff places to behind the queue of 4 or 5 other teams who are ahead of you, but still outside of the playoffs. So you could be down there, 12th, 13th or something, if you can't quite do it. So that's that's a challenge for Cardiff now, I think, for the rest of the season, is to deliver those wins. Then for Leinster, wasteful in the first half, but did what they do so often by getting that crucial score just before the break, then delivered the knockout blow in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Scrum went well. Ross Byrne, again, had a great game, and he's going to do really well, I think, over at Gloucester when he does go there next season. Tector, come on so much this season. Alex Soroka, delighted for him, disrupted the Cardiff lineup well, really good around the field. His brother Ivan made his debut too, so if he's cut from the same cloth as his brother, these two are going to be, I think, potentially at least big players for Leinster in the future. Now that they've got their tour down to South Africa, and it's coming up the next 2 rounds. And this is where in the last few seasons they've stumbled, and kind of lost a little bit of the momentum that they had for the rest of the season. So it's also, though, where we've seen some players really showing their mettle. The likes of the older kind of Osborne brother, Prendergast, etc., and Soroka, actually a few seasons ago, have gone down there and they've performed well, and that's kind of helped it really accelerate, I think, their development too. So, going down there and getting absolutely, pummeled, does have actually some benefits for some of these players. I think it's a great way for Leinster to filter out, who really does have what it takes. But also, again, they can't do the same thing as before, where they let other teams just close that gap to them. They've got to be getting something out of the games in there, even if it's not wins. So I think an important period coming up for them now, and for the rest of the league as well, especially those with ambitions, to claim that title, and especially the likes of Glasgow, who are looking to be the first, in this URC era to actually retain the title as well. But I think exciting times for rugby and exciting times for the URC, coming up for us here. So that's the end of this one. Let me know what you think down in the comments.